Ever since his peak in prominence in the 1970s, legendary actor Harrison Ford has been able to nurture a career as one of the biggest movie stars in the world. With several movies and awards under his belt, narrowing down the best of the best has posed quite a task. Dive with us into the world of this charismatic natural legend. First on the list is Henry Turner from Regarding Henry. The American drama film kicks off with the revelation of Ford, who is playing an unscrupulous corporate attorney who, after sauntering into a convenience store robbery one night, gets shot in the head, which results in retrograde amnesia, loss of speech and mobility. During his recovery journey, we witnessed the toil of a man who was once fierce and articulate to a man whose only concern was winning a big case. But now his only worry is trying to get some semblance of the life he once doted on back. Next in rank is Ali Fox from The Mosquito Coast. The Mosquito Coast unveils Ford stepping out of his comfort zone to play an unorthodox inventor and staunch utopian who's dealing with mood swings and the disillusionment of the American dream. Though packed with twists and not free of problems, all in all, the show does something indisputably audacious, imbuing a fast-moving action-adventure tale with the sort of layered capitalist critical critique that's seldom scoured to this degree. After moving to Central America in a quest for a simpler life free from the grips of fear of a nuclear war, his hopes begin to dwindle as he recognizes that the grass isn't always greener, becoming erratic and belligerent as a result. It's difficult to acknowledge, but Ford was able to successfully pull off the role of Ali Fox, making himself unlikable. In acknowledgement of the success of the drama thriller series, Ford received his second Golden Globe nomination for his role as Ali Fox, preceding Han Solo from Star Wars Episode VII: The Force Awakens. 32 years after his final impression in a Star Wars film, Ford returned to The Force Awakens. Witnessing Ford's return as Han Solo was the sci-fi adventure film's equivalent of a soothing calm after the storm. 30 years after the debacle of Darth Vader and the Empire, a new threat emerges in a galaxy far away. The Force Awakens is a 2015 epic space opera film that reveals the First Order in an attempt to preside over the galaxy, and only a small crew of heroes can stop them in their tracks. During this quest, a scavenger, Rey, teamed up with a stormtrooper to join Han Solo and Chewbacca to search for the one hope of restoring peace. No doubt Ford's final scenes were an affirmation of what a phenomenal creation his Han Solo truly is. Firing on, Dr. Richard Kimball from The Fugitive. In this Golden Globe-nominated role, Ford played Dr. Richard Kimball, a vascular surgeon who's wrongfully charged with murdering his wife. During the touching journey to liberate himself and find the culprit, he's so convincing as the intelligent, strong-willed everyman that we can't help but be engrossed in his predicament. The Fugitive is a 1993 thriller and crime flick directed by Andrew Davis, and is one of the most rousing thrillers of its time. The tale of an innocent man who was wrongly indicted for the manslaughter of his wife, but managed to flee from the police confines to identify the culprit while steering clear of the authorities and his formidable opponent, Tommy Lee Jones's Deputy U.S. Marshal Samuel Gerard, who was hot on his tail. As could be expected from Ford, who keeps landing himself snatching iconic roles, it's surely worth the mention as Ford was seen fixing a set injury to keep his character limping along. The success of the crime thriller The Fugitive is evident as Tommy Lee Jones won Best Supporting Actor for his role, and Ford's Dr. Kimball received his third Golden Globe nomination. Kicking off, the next on the list is John Book from the crime thriller Witness. Harrison Ford, always found in litanies of blockbusters and science fiction movies, was portrayed in Witness as a serious character, Detective John Book. Arguably one of his finest performances on screen, he stepped in to safeguard the only witness to the murder of an undercover cop. 8-year-old Amish boy Samuel Lapp became a threat to the corrupt police force after witnessing the murder of an undercover cop while waiting on a train platform with his mother Rachel. With the duo's safety as his top priority, John Book headed into an Amish community tailed by the culprit of the murder and eventually wounded in an ambush. Ever the hero with the support of the Amish community, who were smitten by his skill in carpentry, a skill he had honed for years before his debut in the movie industry, which we can rightly say came in handy. Harrison Ford's character John Book was able to rise above the challenges. Deservedly nominated for an Oscar award for his performance in The Witness, which he lost to a fellow actor, he however received his third Golden Globe nod. Up next is Jack Ryan from Patriot Games and Clear and Present Danger. Ford wasn't the only actor to portray Jack Ryan on the big screen. That honor goes to Alec Baldwin in The Hunt for Red October. But throughout the success of two movies based on author Tom Clancy's best-selling novels, Ford ascended the role to new heights. Both Patriot Games and Clear and Present Danger were among some of the first films that lifted the bar and what audiences have come to anticipate from espionage thrillers. Similar to his role in The Fugitive, a lowly CIA agent gets caught in the middle of a terrorist plot. Ford delivers a commanding performance as a family man and patriot who is filled with an undying moral compass, revealing his tremendous acting range once again. These movies have some outstanding action sequences, as well as some that afford the most dramatic performances ever. Since Ford walked away from the role of Jack Ryan, Ben Affleck, Chris Pine, and even John Krasinski have each taken their stabs at the role, but they failed to fill the shoes that Ford left behind. Moving on the list is Rick Deckard from Blade Runner. Churning out iconic movies in the early 80s, Ford was landing iconic roles which portrayed dashing heroes with a slightly dark edge to them, and there may be none darker or more tortured than Blade Runner's Rick Deckard. In a complicated and iconic role, this personality queries, faces, and uncovers his humanity while teasing the haunting question of whether he was an oblivious replicant the entire time. Reprising the role 35 years after the events of the first in the series alongside Ryan Gosling's Kay, Harrison Ford was easily recognized as he effortlessly stepped back into Deckard's shoes later in the movie. Though this classic movie sparked critical reviews and has been deemed a box office flop, it is still prized by sci-fi fans worldwide. Next on our list is President Marshall from the political action film Air Force One. Only Ford could act out the President of the United States as a remarkable combat veteran who dislikes negotiating with terrorists. Taking matters into his own hands, Ford's President James Marshall battled not just the terrorists who hijacked his plane, but close friends who chose to change their loyalties in the long run. When his ride is hijacked by Kazakh terrorists, overseen by Gary Oldman's Korshunov, who gained access to the flight by posing as a member of the press corps, and his family held at gunpoint, he transforms from a gruff politician to an action hero and refuses to recognize his value above others. Propelled by the task of ensuring his family and citizens' safety, he was able to ensure the conquest of the terrorists, dropping a classic movie catchphrase that's often imitated by former President Obama, "Get off my plane." Leading by model on set, Ford went out of his way to ask Gary Oldman to hit him in reality, affirming his rank as one of the best in superhero mode, coupled with Wolfgang Petersen's taut direction. Next in rank is Han Solo from the Star Wars series, the only role portrayed so flawlessly by Ford that it ultimately spawned an entire movie of its own in 2018. The snatching role that made Harrison Ford a household name, Han Solo is smoothly one of the most endearing characters in the entire saga. Packing a blaster of confidence, egotism, and charisma, Ford portrays the iconic, ever-charming mercenary smuggler that didn't necessarily abide by the constraints, but was filled with aristocratic motivations in a saga that propels his career. His layered performance balanced his character's self-interest with his romantic sentiments and sense of loyalty. Finally, Indiana Jones from the Indiana Jones series. The launch of Raiders of the Lost Ark snagged most viewers by surprise. Still known to everyone as Han Solo, Ford unveiled a completely different persona, affirming his title as an icon. The first and still the finest indie adventure reveals George Lucas back to his days watching old TV serials on TV, and this then would allow him to concoct a thrilling adventure tale of the titular hero's hunt for the Ark of the Covenant. What makes it classic are ostensibly all of the classic moments which ensue during its 2-hour runtime, with some of the most notable being Harrison Ford getting pursued by a gigantic boulder or having to duel with a local swordsman. While the latter scene was initially supposed to see an elaborate sword exhibit after Ford was stricken with a case of food poisoning before filming, he has suggested it be altered to a great gag where he simply pulled out his gun and shot his opponent. Keeping up with his morality as Indiana Jones in the subsequent sequels, the badass archaeologist, professor, and adventurer is arguably the actor's most iconic role. Indiana Jones isn't only Ford's best role, but also his most relatable character, portraying a swashbuckling treasure hunter who was always caught up in something way over his head. He was immediately recognizable due to his fedora, leather jacket, bullwhip, and revolver. Ford brings an exceptional ruggedness and brazen essence to the part. Though critics and fans were let down by the eventual 2008 sequel Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, his portrayal remains so esteemed that he is credited with creating one of the terrific cinematic heroes of all time. Fans are itchy in expectation of the 5th film in development, with an 80-year-old Ford set to reprise his role. We would love to know your opinion on the rankings and your favorite Harrison Ford roles. Share this with us in the comment section. Hit the subscribe button and like this video. Enjoy your day.